Whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. That whenever things go so far wrong as to attract their notice, they may be relied on to set them to rights. As a quote by Thomas Jefferson in 1768. The goal is to strive for a poor government, but a rich people. With that quote from Andrew Johnson, I welcome you to ATN Politics. ATN Politics is the network's flagship program that discusses core political trends with relevant political stakeholders. And on today's edition, we will be discussing core issues from different political landscapes, such as that of Zamfara State, where APC uncovered fertilizer scandal. And in Sokoto State, Tambuwal's aide is imprisoned for insulting the governor. INEC debunks rumors of PVC sales. And Bode George urges PDP leadership to follow the Constitution. Before I introduce our guest, we'll go for this very short break, and when we come back, we head on to business as usual. Welcome to ATN Politics, and don't make a move. My pleasure to welcome you back to Atn Politics on Atlantic Television Network right here in the political city of Port Harcourt. My guest today is the Secretary General of the Uniport Alumni River State Chapter, Dr. Ajenamonia Ibieneye. It's a pleasure, sir, to have you back here, sir.
Thanks. It's always a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure, sir. Welcome, sir. All right, without taking any much of your time, let's head to the first story for discussions today. The All Progressive Congress in Zamfara State has exposed fertilizer scandal involving the state government, alleging that it purchased the commodity at an inflated price. According to a statement signed by Yusuf Idris Gusau, its publicity secretary, the government bought 75 trailer loads of fertilizer for 38.5 billion naira, translating to 855,000 naira per bag. The APC claimed that this is a clear case of contract inflation and that the supplying company, ZAM Agrochemicals, is owned by Governor Dauda Lawal. The party alleged that the company was awarded a similar contract in 2020 but failed to deliver the fertilizer after collecting the money. The APC also accused the government of giving conflicting figures regarding the number of trailers purchased, with the governor stating 135 trailers and the PDP claiming 145 trailers. The party demanded that the government provide accurate figures and explain the discrepancy. Yes, sir. We are seeing a case of the opposition APC in Zamfara State even working as not just as political checkmates, but also as financial regulators and doing partially the work of the EFCC. We have seen a case of alleged contract inflation in the purchase of fertilizers. And also,
it's always a situation where the populates are interested in what is happening around them. You know, normally when there is oppositions, it's not actually, it's bad when it's a witch hunt. But if the situations are obvious and that things are not proper, I think it's a checkmate for one who is not doing well. Consider the state that is being governed, and then consider the even investors. And so those are factors that should be considered, and understand that at this point in time in this country is not the time to be fraudulent. You know, I would also say that there are a lot of laws, laid down regulations, enough to ensure that there is transparency in the system. But the individual in the office, you know, the onus lies on the person to act upon that, either to try to maneuver them, sway them, or something else. But I think it's an appeal to arts that this, no, one would not say that, because except categorically there are facts to that. But one is appealing that such, since things like that there is also a wake-up call to the security agents, those persons that are party to activities of such, to queue into it and then try to visualize it and then try to build the confidence of Nigerians. Because Nigerians, some of them will believe that, oh no, even if such vital information is given, nothing will come out of it. So I think that they should look and then try to be transparent and then make their findings public. And I believe that parties will be satisfied, both the those accusing and those defending. And I think that will help the system.
Okay, but in a case where this is a contract running into billions of naira, and it is supposed to pass through the instrumentality of the procedure
Biddings, yes.
yeah, of biddings
Yes.
in the open.
Yeah, and if they've won, then it is allocated to them. Those are also things that should be looked at. If actually before the contract was given, it actually passed through the right processes. If it does, then the idea of is his company would not come in. But if it doesn't pass through, then the idea of him just pushing it to the company will come in. Again, it is not just because it's his company or not his company as accusations might be, but it should be something that if they are handling it, there should be competence. Nigerians now are crying, they are dying mercilessly, I must confess to you. And so this is not the time. If there are funds to cushion effects, you know, I think it should be utilized. Should be utilized. It's just that I don't really believe in pointing at issues, but I believe in focusing on solutions, resolving those issues that are there, because that is what Nigeria wants. They don't want discussing. There is nothing you're saying that they've not heard before, but something that...
Food inflation, food price inflation, food scarcity, and there is a case of fertilizers that is supposed to generate food crops in quantum in order to ease the burden on the market prices of food crops. And as at this point, there are already allegations and the fertilizers have not been shared yet. Are we going to see the end? Those fertilizers, are they going to reach the real farmers that ought to have access to this, being that their funds, the state funds, have been used to acquire these fertilizers, and by now it has not even gotten to the end user, and there are already allegations of impropriety, of abuse, of financial discrepancies. Do we have any hope that in Zamfara State that these fertilizers will get to the end users, or it is still business as usual? And as far as corruption has is concerned, sir?
Like I said, it boils down to the individual occupying the office. You know, in management, they say they don't respect the individual, they respect the office. And so that office is occupying has the capacity to ensure that it gets to the end user. Now, if that is not done with the kind of influence on the office of the governor, which is not geared towards misbehaving, but geared towards enhancing the governor to perform effectively. Now, if it is not being done, you have to discuss this with him when he's out of office. You can go to the complaint office, the bureau, to begin to point out that there were irregularities when he was in office. But until that time comes, the situation will be what it is. So what the cry should be on the conscience of these persons consistently, that if they are not willing, capable of assisting the people get out of these bitter pills, they should bow out for someone else to do the job. It is not like, oh, it's a fight. No, it's an appeal. And if you're willing to do it, all hands will be on deck to ensure that you carry out those beautiful exercises, because they are beautiful, because it is something that will touch the lives of many. Now, if the fertilizer, those products, I believe it is not geared towards feeding all Nigerians. It is for that state. And so that is something that would have boosted the economy of that state. Because if you look at the country, most of their focus is on the oil and gas. And this is something that is making anybody deal with Nigerians at will. At will. They could wake up and do something in the oil and gas, and Nigerians will continue to cry. Now, even if you want, everybody in that state might not want to go into farming. So diversifying the economy, that's just a sector. And that's why we're looking at it as a sector. If that is looked at, it will enhance the system. Now, some of those persons that are feeling bad about the costs of living, at least they will have hope when they see their crops growing. So I believe that it is like a chain group of people. As they eat, everybody eating wants the rest people to die. But it shouldn't be like that. It should be a system, and it's not because it's APC talking, or because it's PDP talking,
the PDP,
but it's Nigerian.
I mean, in this case, we are expecting that concerning fertilizer,
Yes.
the names that were supposed to be well featured is the Commissioner for Agriculture,
Yes.
the Ministry of Agriculture,
Okay.
the cooperative societies of farmers.
Yes.
But we are seeing APC, PDP, governor's company.
That's the names you're hearing.
Are these indices to show that this fertilizer was actually for agricultural purposes, or was it for cronies?
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, maybe the secret was leaked out of the bag and is being exposed. Because if it ought to be for the people, some agencies which are keyed towards agri sector would have been the spearheaders of this. But from the way we are saying it, it's political parties that are spearheading this. What does that prove to us to show that this is not just one of those cases of corruption, sir?
Like I will keep saying, it has to do with the individual. And when positions are made open, the parties that are getting into that office is key. If, for instance, you're putting the wrong peg in the right hole or the right peg in the wrong hole, you always get feedbacks of such. Now, what we're looking at here is the mindset of the individual. If the mindset of the individual is geared towards achieving professionality, you find out that these parties mentioned within the agricultural sector, in fact, there will be, that's the boom. You're not hearing, maybe if he has a commissioner of agriculture, that's another thing. If there's a commissioner for agriculture, if the commissioner is there, why is it that he has not said anything as a commissioner to say that these facts are not obvious or these are the true pictures? Why is it that there are no agricultural
to Sokoto State has been remanded in prison for sharing a media content considered offensive to the state governor Ahmad Aliyu. Shaliu Umar was remanded in a correctional facility for allegedly insulting the governor, his wife, and his deputy on a Facebook post. Mr. Umar allegedly shared a video of the governor struggling to construct a sentence in English. Mr. Aliu's senior secondary school leaving certificate online. A magistrate, Fatima Hassan, barred reporters from covering the court proceedings on Monday. Sir, an aide to the former governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwa, being that he might have been in the presence of the governor and seeing the governor struggling with his English language, and also went ahead, also not only just posting that video that he took of the governor struggling, and also went to search out for his school leaving certificate and also posted that online in a bid to maybe perhaps embarrass the governor. But the blowback was that the governor had been able to secure his imprisonment while still awaiting trial. What do you say about this? I want to know your point, your opinion on this.
I would rather say it's very unfortunate.
Okay.
It's very unfortunate with the way these young ones behave. You know, the Facebook or the social media, there are people that actually are intelligent. They use that same social media to market their product. And it is not something that you now go and begin to say things about people. Sometimes the orientations of these persons are not adequate. If one might ask, what do you stand to gain? If I don't know, I'm not one of his teachers or his lecturers, as the governor might be, or maybe somebody who could witness to his result. So whether he had an F in English or he doesn't have, you know, is inconsequential to me. The Nigeria constitution has stated that if you have your O level, if you attempt it, you can be the president of this country. Does not really state that you will pass it. So if you now go and say that the person, one is not even certain if he actually did such. Because if he did and posted it, the reason should be why. And within the laws and the constitution, those acts are lawless. You know, you don't go to abuse people or maybe say some certain things about them without their consent. Maybe he's reacting that way. Sometimes things like this might occur if you're loyal to somebody and maybe the person is fighting with some other person. You believe that you want to prove loyalty by maybe castigating the next person. But sometimes in life, it's not always the case. It's not always the case. Because the Eto Tambowa cannot be arrested like that and be put in prison because he posted, because he would not want to do some certain things because of his level of understanding. Now, if you're an aide to that person, your act should display what you discuss. You don't discuss it, the court will determine it. So one does not have to discuss that issue. But if he did such, he should know that that's not something to do.
But being that, yes, we know that English is not our mother tongue, but definitely we were colonized by the British. And it is expected that for a British colonized territory, we should have a command of English, even if it's at the most rudimentary level.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about English as a spoken language, you talk about politics and politicians, and people growing from the cadres of politics getting to the point of a governor. Should an average governor in Nigeria have average command of English language, and be a representative of a people, even at the state level?
Well, I would want to say communicating in English language does not really prove competence or intelligence. We are Nigerians. In fact, if someone